Hey guys! Welcome back to Simply Swider. Today we're diving into a pesky problem many have been asking about, the infamous Maytag Washer 5D or SD error code. Since you're here, I'm guessing you've seen that annoying little message pop up too. Trust me, you're not alone. So here's everything you need to know about this error code. Okay, here's the deal. The 5D or SD code simply means you've got a lot of suds in your washing machine during a cycle. So when you get this error, think of it as your washer saying, "Hey, there's a problem." Or, "This cycle is turning into an uncontrollable bubble bath." That said, too much suds occur when the user is heavy-handed with detergent, or sometimes using the wrong kind. But don't worry. It's not always your fault. There are times when the problem could be a clogged drain hose, or even something like a wonky pressure switch. With that in mind, let's look at all the possible causes and their solutions. A while back, I got a call from a couple who just moved into their first home and were excited to use their brand new washer. Unfortunately, the appliance kept stopping prematurely and throwing an SD error code. When I got there, here's a picture of what I found. Can you notice the foam spilling from the machine? That was the problem. Apparently they believe that more detergent equals better cleaning performance, a notion that's very far from the truth. When dealing with high-efficiency washers, too much detergent often hinders the appliance's rinsing efficiency, thus prompting the infamous SD error code. If your washer keeps throwing this error, peep inside to check for suds or foam. If there's too much of it, you've found your problem. Quick tip though. Most washers are designed to resolve this issue automatically. So don't hit any buttons just yet. Instead, give your appliance some time to add more water. This helps to dissipate the suds. And to avoid a repeat, I advise you to be keen when adding detergent during a wash cycle. By this I mean sticking to the recommended measurements found in your detergent bottle's label. Because if you don't, you might find yourself facing an unnecessary repair bill. If your washer is less than 15 years old, it's very likely a high-efficiency or HE appliance. Basically, HE washers are known for their efficiency. In other words, they use less water and energy to do laundry. So what does this have to do with the SD error? Well, let me explain using an example. In another one of my repair runs, my client, Mrs. Johnson, believed that her Maytag front-load washer had an issue. She argued that the appliance kept displaying a 5D error code each time the rinse cycle began. And no, she wasn't using more than the recommended detergent amount. Puzzling, right? Well, in her case, the issue wasn't caused by too much detergent. Rather, the type she was using. Mrs. Johnson told me she had opted for traditional detergents because they are often cheaper. Unfortunately, using such detergents on a HE washer causes it to produce more suds, thus disrupting the rinse cycle, and consequently prompting the SD error. Here you only need to remember one thing: high-efficiency washers require HE detergents to function properly. It's simply a match made in heaven. So if you haven't been using HE-labeled detergents, consider getting one and utilizing the recommended amounts to see if that solves the issue. If it doesn't, the problem could be much deeper. All right. For those of you wondering, what on earth is a drive hub kit? It's the unsung hero that links the agitator, pulsator, or wash plate to the drive system. Basically, it's what gets the party going in your washer. That's why, when this washer component wears out, things can go south real quick. In essence, your washer won't be able to spin or drain properly. And this means that your washer will struggle to clear the suds during a rinse cycle, therefore, forcing it to flash an SD error code. To identify this as the issue, you have to check a number of things. For instance, here's a picture from a recent repair. Can you spot the tub's irregular movements? If yours looks like that while spinning, it's a red flag. You can even go a step further by giving the wash plate a manual twirl. If it's wobbly and unbalanced, you might be onto something. Next, check the drive hub. This phase of the troubleshooting process might be difficult for a novice. I won't lie, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But it can be done. Start by checking your user manual to locate the drive hub. Once you find it, look out for telltale signs of damage. For example, if it has cracks, breaks, or a texture that makes your granddad's oldest leather boots look younger. Once you've established the drive hub kit as the culprit, it's time to swap it out. Luckily, these kits won't break the bank and replacing them isn't rocket science, provided you have the right tools and parts. At this point, it's evident that SD errors are quite common in Maytag washers. But what you need to remember is that HE washing machines are designed to use less water than other models. Unfortunately, it takes a considerable amount of water to dissipate stubborn suds. That's why anytime the appliance encounters difficulty clearing suds, the SD or 5D code will pop up. One such instance is when there's a clogged or kinked drain hose hindering drainage. Now, while this code might not pinpoint the problem accurately, it's your washer's way of bringing a fault to your attention. So, how do you figure out if the drain hose is causing all the drama? Well, it's easier than untangling Christmas lights. You just have to find the hose and give it a once-over as shown in this picture. You're looking for anything that doesn't seem right. For example, kinks, twists, or any obstacles clogging the system. If you find any kinks, all you have to do is straighten the hose out like a graduate ironing a shirt for a job interview. On the other hand, for clogs, the fix might differ depending on the extent. So start by unplugging your washer first, then carefully disconnect the hose. Thereafter, you can try running some water through it to clear the blockage. Sometimes, the clogging can be stubborn, and that may necessitate some heavy-duty tools like the plumber's snake. I've used this a couple of times and well, you won't believe the stuff I've found so far. For instance, socks, coins, buttons, Lego pieces, and so much more. Finally, once you're confident the hose is as clear as a summer sky, hook it back up and make sure it's installed right. You'll be surprised how many times people forget to check the height, which is usually not supposed to be more than 96 inches. But you can refer to your owner's manual or look it up online to double check. Another essential part of your washer's drainage system is the drain filter. When it's clogged or damaged, the flow of sudsy or soapy water gets interrupted, and that can cause an SD or 5D error. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. This image shows a slightly clogged drain filter. However, in my years as a repairman, I've seen way worse. And that's why I always recommend routine washer cleaning and maintenance to avoid issues like these. Simply, locate where your washer's drain filter is. For most front-load Maytags, it should be down at the bottom of your washer, accessible by removing the back panel. In a top loader, the filter should be in the center of the agitator tube. Once you find it, take the filter out for inspection and cleaning. Here's a funny story. I came across a Reddit post where a guy found not one but two bra cushions jammed in his washer's filter. It's rare, but it does happen. Here, the solution is simple. Clean the filter. Remove all the lint, gunk, debris, hair, or loose change. Once it's all clean, your washer will be able to breathe again. Then, fit the filter back in and do a test run. Odds are, you've just told that pesky SD or 5D error to take a hike. If not, let's look at another possible culprit. There are instances where the problem is more complex than it seems. For example, if your washer's pressure switch or sensor is faulty, the filling and draining processes will be affected. This component is often responsible for monitoring water levels in the tub. In other words, it tells the machine when to stop filling or draining. That's why if it fails, you're definitely going to get an SD error code. Think of it this way. If the faulty sensor gets it wrong and tells the machine, "Hey, that's enough water," when there's barely a puddle, what happens next? Your detergent won't dilute properly, thus resulting in an unwanted foam fiesta. In most Maytag models, The sensor is often near the top or the side of the tub as shown here. Next, inspect the tubing connected to it to ensure it's not hanging by a thread or blocked in any way. More so, you can blow some air gently into the tube and listen closely for hissing or whistling. If any, it could mean that there's a leak. Lastly, do a continuity test using a multimeter. Most user manuals contain instructions and what you should expect when troubleshooting a component. If your multimeter reading does not match the expected results as indicated in the manual, the sensor might be faulty. If this is it, the only possible fix is to replace the sensor or pressure switch. It's a straightforward process. Here, all you have to do is unplug your washer and remove the back panel. Then, unscrew and remove the faulty sensor to put in the new one. If you do it right, and using the correct component, you should be back in business. However, if you're not comfortable doing it yourself, I'd advise seeking professional assistance. Lastly, do you know that overloading your washer can cause it to throw an SD error code? I bet you don't. When there's not enough room for water and detergent to mingle with your clothes, there's a high chance that suds won't be evenly distributed. Meaning, some parts of the drum will have more suds than others. And that can trick the sensor into thinking that there's more foam in the tub than there actually is. Hence, the 5D error. Simply check your laundry to see if it has room to breathe. I always do this by opening the lid and giving the top close a little push. If there's little resistance and the load moves freely, it's not overloaded. If not, you've got to lighten the load, my friend. Take out some of the clothes and maybe run them in the next cycle. Thereafter, run a clean washer cycle and keep your eyes peeled for that error code. If the code bids you goodbye, you've solved the mystery. If not, it's time to call an expert for a more thorough diagnosis. And that's everything you need to know about the causes of the 5D or SD error code on a Maytag washing machine. If this issue persists, consider joining our Facebook group. I've included the link in the description. Both I and other technicians are available and we'll be more than happy to help. Hopefully you've learned something new and useful about your washer. As always, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to support my work. I've been your host, Barry, from simplestwider.com. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.